Most important piece of advice, are we talking when applying or when you're working? I'll just clarify that point, Sam.
Oh, good question. Mainly just for students who are just aspiring to work there. So maybe it is the application process. Maybe it is about anyone who wants to work for the audit office. What's the biggest thing? Maybe it's
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll cover off both to an extent. The number one thing, and I think certainly that when our graduates ask the question when they're in the office, something that our SES say over and over again is be curious, be perpetually curious. That is probably the number one biggest, attribute that our SES officers talk about when they're speaking to our graduates, and really sort of hammering that home and saying that this is a job that essentially relies on curiosity and skepticism and wanting to dig and find more, and know all the things. And so I suppose as part of and I would encourage everybody who is interested in applying, and particularly when you're putting together that initial application, the initial application. So once you get past that initial application stage, you move on to the written assessments, the group activities, etc. Those will be specifically structured, around a scenario or an activity. The initial application is where you need to nail, why do you want to work for this office? Why do you want to work for us? So demonstrate to us your motivations, demonstrate to us that interest, that curiosity. Yes, I have the background I have the relevant background, to work in finances, or I have the relevant background to do the research, to work in performance audit like Christiane was talking about. I have that desire, I have that motivation. Demonstrate it, show it. Don't just say, oh yes, I have a science background, I've done research, I've done that. Really demonstrate, connect that with the work that the office does. That would be my advice.
Well, Ash stole mine. Be curious. But if I have to say something else, I'd say the best thing to do as a grad is to come in with the mindset and kind of approach that you're going to learn everything you possibly can in that first year to set you up for your future career in the ANAO. So as a grad, I think there can be a bit of, I had pressure on myself that I had to deliver work straight away, but that's not really the point of the grad program. Once I settled in, I realized this is just my opportunity to learn. And ANAO is incredible with the amount of learning and development that it offers you, especially in your grad year. The technical training that they offer is really helpful. And keeping that mindset of I'm here to learn, I'm here to develop my greatest skill set, so soft skills and technical skills, and really emphasizing that in your grad year to set yourself up, and then your next couple of years of your career at the office, if that's where you choose to stay, or the greater public service. I think that's just really important to remember, that you're there to learn, and then as a result of that, you will produce really good work, and not to pressure yourself about having to deliver work straight away in your grad year. That's what I would say.
I would also say that Ash stole mine because we're auditors, so we're meant to be curious, and also to expand on that, I would say to just challenge everything. So even as a student now, as you're learning things and you're completing your studies, you will most likely get a lot of case studies and real life examples in your last year of uni, and I would say challenge everything that they've given to you, and that way you can easily transfer that sort of thinking to the audit office later on if you do end up working here. And that's purely because of the nature of the work that we do. We're auditors, so we're meant to challenge everything on the daily. We're meant to be skeptical. It's part of the job. So that's what I would say. And I agree with Simone as well. That would be my other point. You're there to learn as much as you can in your grad year. Not everything, obviously, but as much as you can, soak it all up. Because like Simone said, there's an amazing training program that comes with the grad program that you might not get elsewhere, but instead of thinking micro and thinking that it will only help you in your grad program, it will actually help you immensely later on as you go into your team leader roles and more senior roles, and especially into your next job after the ANAO, should you choose to move away from the ANAO. But that would be my biggest piece of advice. Be curious and challenge everything, especially as a student as you are right now.
For working at the ANAO, a key piece of advice that I would give, and this may sound a little odd in the abstract, but it's not a race. When you're in your grad year, take the time to just learn and allow yourself the flexibility to make mistakes and to take in as much information as you can, but also give yourself the time to process it as well. The skill set that you will learn at the ANAO, and particularly in performance audit, and the way that we write performance audits here is quite different from the way consultancies do it. We aren't writing for the highest bidder. We are writing for the parliament and to hold the public service to account and hold the government to account. So the way we do performance audit, it can take us years to learn, and that's okay. And you'll start to see bits and pieces of that in your grad year and start to get a bit more of an understanding of how we write, of how we analyze, of how we are, like dogs with a bone, until we get the answers that we're looking for. And once you've graduated from the grad program, as you become 4s and 5s and moves on from there, you will learn the skill set even more, and you'll get such a bigger understanding of it. And overall, it's allowing yourself to take the time to learn and learn properly with understanding. In terms of advice for the application process, I would say really don't rush the expression of interest. Take the time over a couple of weeks, if you have it, to put together something thoughtful. And my parents were in the public service as well, so I'm a legacy. They really hammered home the importance of the STAR technique. And also with the extra R for reflection as well, if you want bonus points. So you'll only have a certain amount of words to work with, but really try and carefully choose your words. Don't just throw something on the page and put it in, because the people who will be looking at your applications are from the particular service groups, and they'll be looking for who is a good fit for that service group. And we can see the people who put the time and the effort into putting together something thoughtful. So definitely take the time to do it. And we look forward to seeing your expressions of interest, if we haven't already at this point.
I might build on that very last point there. And I think Ash touched on this earlier. The expressions of interest are the first impression you make, I suppose, on the office. And I think first impressions are pretty important. And the website is a really, really, really good resource for you to make a very good first impression. If you can learn as much as you can about the office before you apply, if you can incorporate some of the language, some of the terms that we use into your expression of interest, I think that will serve you very well and you make a very good impression.
On top of what everybody else has been saying, I think collaboration and communication are a key part of this job. So if you can demonstrate at any point your ability to have worked within a team in the past, and note this does not necessarily mean demonstrating that you are the smartest person in that team, but your ability to collaborate within that team, I think that's a big boost, and it's one of the main things I think we're looking for in our graduates, both in our group and agency-wide.